Welcome to the What's Working podcast, the podcast where we ask, what's working? Hey everyone, welcome to the What's Working podcast. I am Jimmy Nash, and I'm thrilled today to have Mary Baboyan founder and CEO of Hazzel Marketing Agency, a creative and strategy-driven marketing firm known for helping brands translate complex ideas into meaningful campaigns. Mary, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy. Hi.
We got to talk a little the other day, and was very impressed with your work and what you do with your team. And could you give me a little bit of history? What drove you to start this company, and how your vision for the agency has evolved since you started?
Absolutely. So my journey in marketing actually started 8 years ago when I was a marketing intern in a crowdfunding specialized marketing agency. And I was very unsure of my marketing skills. I never thought it would be for myself, and I would never think that I would build a career in that path, but I did.
Yeah.
And after a year ago from my internship, I was promoted to head of PR department. And like 5 years later, I started my own agency, which is focused on lead generation and in both B2B and B2C sectors. The reason I actually started the company was because I interacted with a lot of marketing and PR firms, both in US and in Armenia, where I'm based currently. And I thought what missed in those companies was mainly the feeling of ownership and care for the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger the company was, the less the care and ownership would be. So I started the agency to fill the gap and to be able to support the companies and businesses in industries that really create value and solve problems.
That's awesome. So we talked the other day about, so you have 5 altogether. Is that 5 including you employees or?
Yes, we're a small team making magic happen.
So that's just looking at a lot of companies, I think, when you talk about caring about the end result for your client, and that sometimes as a smaller team, it's easier to accomplish that. There's not so much noise in the company to help accomplish that.
Exactly. And the reason we would like to think about the collaborations in this way. We're not an outsourced team. It's how it works is one of our teammates knows A to Z about your company, your business, and they are an addition to your team so that you can trust that what this person does is out of curiosity, care, and ownership and responsibility.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I think that's something that misses from a lot of larger companies, and that's why I love seeing companies under, let's say, 10 employees that are just thriving, because you can give that personalization and that care. So, since you started the company to now, I mean, things are changing so quickly, especially you're talking about lead generation. How has technology changed for you with AI or even just social, anything that you're marketing, anything you're doing lead generation? How has it changed just in the last even 2 to 5 years?
Oh, it's completely different. It's things have leveled up so much. One thing that has drastically changed in our company and has helped with the emergence of AI is the research.
Mm-hmm.
So what would take weeks for research now takes much less time and enables the team to use those resources for other non-tech human tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing was the automation, that there's so many things that you can automate right now with Make, and then with other similar tools that would also consume much of the time for manual work, but now it's very easy to automate. And I've always said that this is one of the best times in the history to start a business, because there are so many resources available. There's so many tools. You can literally start an agency from ground zero, even if you're a solo founder. There's so many tools and still emerging that allows you to start a business and grow from ground zero, from scratch.
Yes, and I agree. And I'm hearing that across the board. We're having so many conversations about that. And I think it's interesting to see the things that we don't want to lose, like the personalization, actually having a human being that cares about the business you're working with. But I think are you finding that the AI is freeing up some of the lower level repetitive tasks, so you probably have even more time to care about your client, I would assume.
Yeah, exactly. Um, as long as AI is still developing, there are directions in the marketing industry itself that are trying to be automated. But for instance, customer care support, I don't think that AI is at this level right now that you can trust the customer support and care to AI. But simple automation that would take you weeks and days to conduct, it can, of course, and it can be and must be automated. Otherwise, you're losing in the competition.
Of course. Yeah, I was talking to someone else who had set up a voice agent just to be her receptionist, but she comes right out of the gate and says, "I'm digital, whoever, whatever her name was,
Yeah, yeah.
and can I help you?" And but it will direct you to her or however. But I think as long as people know, and you're saying out of the gate, you're not trying to deceive them that that this is a real voice. But I think you're correct that we're not yet at that point where it can give that personalization completely to every. It might be able to answer questions better than the previous generation of chatbots that just have press one for this or press two for that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I wonder how soon it will be when it will be virtually indistinguishable between what
Oh,
your answer
well,
would be.
you might know better than me the pace with the way that AI is growing with. It's unbelievable, and what we thought was impossible yesterday is now possible and is highly valued and used in business and medium and big companies. So I think we're gonna get there, and we're gonna get there sooner than we're ready for, and we're prepare ourselves for that. The other day, I was at this expo called Digitake, which is a yearly expo event for tech companies that represent their solutions and try to attract new clients, and in both B2B and B2C. And there were many companies that were trying to automate some simple things, and also the communication part. And what they were doing was offering solutions for e-commerce businesses, which I think it can be okay, and it can eventually work out great for those companies, because in cases where there's a need for human support and human touch, so the person is feeling cared for and their problems matter to the company and to the customer support specialist. Uh, the AI still has to be developed, but in other cases, it has to be automated. Like, you remember when Amazon first started, they were aiming to become the most, like the only and most cared company that cares about their customers the most. And given that, I think that's still a very important value for a company to rely on. And if you're thinking big, if you want to grow big, you have to automate things that don't necessarily need human touch.
Right. Yeah, of course. I think there's so many. I mean, we've had automation for a while now. I mean, different email programs,
Yeah.
CRMs, but it is getting crazy how the AI can actually anticipate the automation. Like you can ask AI to help set up automations, even, and you
Hmm.
still got to have the human touch to it because it'll suggest things that are not wholly correct. But
Yeah.
it is crazy the pace at which it is taking over those automations. So, looking through, I see you have some great stats on your website for your clients. We of course, call this the What's Working podcast. So I always like to ask, what is working for your clients right now? What do you find if you could summarize? Okay, we're doing this and this, and we're seeing great results for our clients, especially I know you do focus on lead generation and things like that.
Hmm. Well, are we speaking about B2B or B2C?
Oh, well, I mean, we can speak about both. I mean, we're primarily talk about B2B. So why don't we start with B2B and talk about what's working there?
Yeah, as we were touching the topic of AI and automation, I'm gonna say something controversial, but I think in B2B, what's working the best and the most, at least for now, for us, it's the humanization, human touch, and less automation. And I don't necessarily mean that you shouldn't and mustn't automate things. you have to do that if you're at that scale. But what I mean by that is you have to not forget and not leave out the personalization. In B2B, a lot of us are getting tons of emails and tons of messages on LinkedIn, and the message, the solution that you're offering to the business has to be really relevant now more than ever, and has to really speak to the issue that they might be facing. So the first thing I would say is very important, and that always has worked and will always work, is personalization and care for your potential customers.
Right. Yes, I hear that, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think people, I always they talk about the pendulum as it swings. So we're
Yeah.
swinging towards AI, and then that's going to make it also swing back the other way. To people are going to be so tired of just having their robots talk to someone else's robots. They're going to want to talk in person.
And
There's a rise in, and there's projected to rise in-person meetups and conferences, that they're going to have record attendance because we don't know what's real anymore. So
yeah,
I
it's
think
crazy.
that it's very interesting. The personalization, I think, is probably going to matter more than ever, and true personalization, not just a bot trying to detect what
Yeah,
you're
not
doing.
a high first name.
Yeah. No. Oh, hey, that was personal. Oh, good. Yeah.
Well, actually, that also implies on the B2C sector as well, I would say, because even if you're just showing meta ads to students or new moms, that has to be a very personalized messaging, speaking to the problem, speaking to the ICP, ideal customer profile or persona. And there also has to be some personalization.
Mm.
Some of the marketing agencies I've heard of, their strategy is just using open targeting, not letting meta algorithm design and decide itself how and how to design and structure the ad and whom to show. But if you're in the industry long enough, you know that that will work for a short period of time, and then you will have to figure out the exact targeting and deal with all these steps like um, execution, like analyzing the problems your customers might be facing, how you're, what emotions you're working with, and what is the solution and the benefit of the benefit. I always say this in marketing and in sales, you're not working with the benefit as much as it has been spoken about. It's not the benefit; it's the benefit of the benefit. So if you're selling a marketing course, it's not that you're becoming a marketing expert, you're learning a new profession, etc. You're starting to earn higher, get higher checks. You're getting better salary. You're getting in better network. You're getting the opportunity to work remote, and that's the benefit of the benefit that you're selling.
Right. The end result is what you're selling, basically, at that end of the day. Yeah. And talking about, I love talking about how much you can do with 5 people on your team. And
Yeah.
I'm always curious. Everyone has a different journey. So, like, when you started, how do you know at the point when you need to hire the next person and the next person, as you take on clients and you decide as a business owner, oh gosh, even if I could do this section over here, it makes more sense for me to hire someone else and keep focusing on this.
Mhm. That's actually a very important question for every business in every stage, because there's very high risk of either being too early or being too late.
Hmm.
Because if you're too early, you're hiring somebody, and in 6 months your company could crash and you're losing everything because you haven't measured and estimated your risks. But if you're late, you might be overloaded and snowed under the tasks. You cannot multitask enough to meet all the standards for all of your clients, and then you crash. So
Hmm.
it's very important to find the middle and to hire when you're really, really, really ready for it.
Interesting. I'm always curious about, I just saw this case study of someone who had a marketing agency. They
Hmm.
had someone who was interested in buying, it was a 7-figure deal. Someone wanted to buy their marketing company, but and in the talks, they found out that one person was running almost the entire business. And they're like, there's nothing to buy if we buy you out
Yeah,
and you leave, because they were just working.
trafficking is forbidden.
They thought, they were doing themselves a service by working 16, 20-hour days trying to handle everything. And at the end of the day, it messed up the deal because they didn't have a system, they didn't have people in place to handle the different things. So I think that's I like to get everyone's thoughts on that because it's not there's not a definite point. It's different for everybody when they need to expand, hire the next person and the next person.
Yeah, well, I imagine the valuation immediately dropped because companies are not valued by the number of teammates. They're valued by the contracts, like if they're long-term contracts or if you're a one-time service provider, and how likely the business to function itself, even if the founder is out.
Right.
Not the founder, but the CEO at least.
Right.
Or maybe sometimes it's the same person, founder and CEO.
Right. And I know sometimes it can be maybe they'll part of their contract if they get bought out, they'd have to stay on for the next year or 2 years and
Hmm.
have a transitional time.
Hmm.
Uh, so I always like to ask too, as a business owner, as a marketing agency owner, what advice would you give to someone, let's say, who was where you were at when you were an intern? You're starting out, you don't know where you're going yet, but you maybe they want to start their own agency. What would be the most important piece of advice you could give someone to just take the first best step they could in starting an agency and getting it off the ground?
Uh, that's a very deep question. Off top of my mind, there are two things that I'm thinking of. Number one, all the influencers and social media experts, famous people will tell you, you're ready. Go get started. It's the time. Go get it. You can do it. But what I would really advise to everybody, and not necessarily only starting business, but also changing career, taking the next step in their lives. I want people to, this is my advice. I want you to really understand and be self-aware and analyze your chances. Are you really ready? Because sometimes people will tell you you are, but in your heart, you know that you are not.
Hmm.
Self-awareness is number one thing that I would advise to take into consideration while thinking of changing things and starting a new career, starting a business. Be self-aware, take your chances. Yes, take the risks, but they have to be analyzed and reasonable risks. And another thing is take your time because nowadays mm, the pace of our lives is extremely high, like extremely. Um, we're the days go by and we don't even notice. Months go by, we don't even notice. And with this pace, we're accustomed to things being done instantly in a second. Like you purchase something online, it's delivered the next day. You want something right now, it can be delivered to you in under 30 minutes. And with this pace, we're getting used to the lifestyle that everything can be done in seconds and delivered immediately. While in business, it takes time, it takes knowledge, it takes experience, it takes yes, you have to be fast, but also you have to take the time to analyze and make wise decisions. So take your time, be self-aware, and know what you're doing. Know your stuff.
Excellent. I think that's good. Good advice for everyone. It definitely. I know what you're. The second you said it, I see that all the time. Yes, you see all the motivational, and the motivation's good. Like you should maybe push yourself just slightly further than you think you're ready. But then some people needs to learn some things first.
Yeah.
Um, One thing talking about as I was reading about your company, you emphasize strategy before execution, and I know sometimes clients they just want the results right now and they don't even know yet what their identity is. How do you work and keep a framework in place for your clients to get that strategy and make sure they're spending the time and thinking through that?
I think that's not even the about the strategy and the timelines, but the values. Actually, most of our clients that we're working with and have had the chance to work with, we've been very lucky with them, and all of them are very reasonable and knowledgeable people who
Yep.
know that marketing takes time. There were some cases, of course, where people approach us and they need the thing yesterday, but now they're reaching out today, and uh, it's kind of messy. But most of our clients are actually also very self-aware and know that. it takes time to build something great.
Right. Well, that's good. That is always nice that that's the uh, rule and not the exception to have clients that know that. And um, for everything that's working, is there anything, being honest as a business owner, is there anything that you wish could just be fixed tomorrow? There's something that's just difficult for every business, in the industry. Is there anything that stands out that you say this is something that we wish it could just be solved tomorrow forever?
Um, Marketing wise or business wise,
Or
or
either running the business, just from a structural standpoint, or just in barriers to launching products for clients, or in any avenue in marketing.
I wouldn't, I don't view those challenges like challenges or problems. Normally, my viewpoint is I embrace challenges. It might sound very cheeky and very, common that you should embrace challenges, but that's what I love to do. Every challenge, every problem is a lesson for you, and everything is there for a reason. So if you have to face a certain problem to get there, then that's your journey. You embrace it and you go for it. And to me, there are normally like three types of problems. Number one, that are simply solved by money. So money solves the issue. Therefore, it's a cost. It's not a problem. So if
Hmm.
you have to pay some freelancers, pay somebody to do something, or get a tool, get a new AI tool that will do the thing for you, you just pay it and you solve the issue. There are the second types of situation where you have to change your attitude towards it. So maybe it's your approach that is wrong. So you have to rethink, analyze, and change your approach to it. And the third type of situations that are impossible to change. So you have to simply make a new plan and move forward with it.
That's excellent. I love how you broke down the different types of. A lot of people are just problem, 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 and you actually have a strategy for each problem. So that's very. That is
Yeah.
excellent. I appreciate. I like the way your brain works in breaking those down. Uh, as we're about to wrap up here today, our time has flown by. Other than we've already, of course, talked about technology and AI, but is there anything specifically that you see on the horizon in marketing in B2B or B2C that you're excited about, that you see emerging right now, that it's getting better and better?
Absolutely. I think AI is very powerful right now. And what we're doing right now, and I would advise all of the businesses, especially in marketing industry, dive deeper into AI models, how they work, how they function, and start building automations. Because sooner or later, a lot of directions and realms in the marketing, and not only marketing, are going to be automated. And you better be ahead of the change and lead the change, and not being in the group that has to adapt to those changes.
Absolutely. Okay, wonderful. I think we've had a great conversation. I love the way that you break everything down. Definitely going to have some great clips from this to share. Mary, with Hazel Marketing Agency, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
And thank you everyone for watching What's Working podcast. We'll catch you next time.